Hello everyone, my name is Yeski. I am an OC Infernus player, and I will be giving you a tip, or maybe even more, for every single character in the game as of right now. Hope you enjoy. Up first we have Abrams. A tip for him is, first of all, you need to remember, you need 2 points in your charge to get a free heavy melee. Without it, they will be able to parry. But also, you can use your 2 for movement, and you can cancel it to keep a little bit of momentum, like this. All you gotta do, cancel it, whether you have spacebar to cancel or you have recast the ability, and then you slide right after, you'll keep your momentum. A tip in general for melee, you can actually cancel melee animations with things like Fleetfoot. Active items, I could give you the whole list on all of them, but Fleetfoot is the main go-to, pretty cheap one, but you can actually cancel it and melee again. Pretty just niche little tech you can use. Next up we have Apollo. Apollo is a very techie character. You can get very, very finessey with him. In general, a tip a lot of players don't think of is using their abilities for movement. A lot of the time this will be a 1. You can get straight up high, but also if you're ever wanting to get up high or just want to use it for damage and you don't want to kick all the way back, if you 1 and then instantly dash, you'll stay where you are pretty much. And you can also, again, you can just spam your 3 for movement. And you can also hold your ults. Some people forget this. You can hold it, get them to bait out a counter spell, or just dodge out of the way, anything at all. Readjust, anything. Get us to do that. Next up we have Bebop. Pretty shallow character. I have quite a bit of playtime on him, but there is still some things you can get techie with. First of all, in lane, a lot of people just kind of trying to get bomb stacks, all this stuff. The thing you can be doing is putting a bomb on things like a minion and timing it, so as soon as it lands at the enemies, it'll blow up, get you a safer bomb stack, do more damage with pair with the uppercut. But also, something you can do is something called a fadeaway hook, where you jump and you shoot it while you're behind and pull them around cover. And then obviously you can uppercut them away. Next up we have Billy. A lot of Billy players, they will sit there, they'll spam heavy melee over and over, and then they'll be very predictable, and they'll just parried over and over. First thing you need to realize is that you actually get more health and quicker by spamming light melee. If you're going to spam, it's better to spam light melee, because Billy is actually he actually has the fastest melee windup in the game. He's, I believe, the only person that can melee this fast, and it's just more efficient. But also a thing to know, when you have 2 points in your blasted, you get your bash down back from popping it. So your combo, realistically, you should start with 1 and then blasted, and you'll get it back. Obviously I have no cooldown on, so, but you'll get it anyway. Yeah, and just remember, try to be unpredictable with your melees, try to weave it at the start one time, at the end a second, Next up is Calico. A tip for Calico, just in general, she doesn't have a huge amount of tips I could give you. The biggest one I would say is utilize boxes with your cat. The box early game it is very fast and it's very agile, and you don't really get seen. You can do boxes very quickly, especially in things like the mid-rat, which is right down to the left of the tower. It's very quick. You should be utilizing a lot. And second of all, with the new recent Calico patches, you should always be trying, once you at least have 2 points in it, trying to make sure the character dies within 4 seconds of you using a 2. This means if you know they're going to die, right, and they're low or anything like that, try and get your 2 to hit. That way you get the extra souls if they die. Another thing is you can now use your ult to go up or down in any direction. Definitely utilize this as much as you can. You can get away with some pretty crazy plays that you shouldn't be able to with the new ult. Next up we have Celeste. The biggest tip I could probably give is that a lot of people underestimate how strong her weapon is in lane, but they don't actually realize that it has homing when it bounces off walls or floors or anything at all. It's not always going to hit, like it'll do its best, it's easy aiming at the floor, but in lane, you just want to hit your shots, just try to aim it around their feet. Most of the time it'll bounce to them. It's a lot It's a lot more effective than maybe hitting half your shots, because she is a harder character to hit your shots on. Another tip I can give is that if you're going to play Celeste, please learn, at the very least, the basic movement techs like air strafing. Because of her passive that gives her anti-gravity, as you can see, she's just a lot faster when you incorporate air strafing. I can make a video on all the movement techs, but yeah, you should definitely try learning movement tech on Celeste. She's very good. Next up we have Doorman. Tip I can give for Doorman is a lot of people seem to play him wrong. Your biggest tool on Doorman is carding through your door. His build is very good, his ult is insanely good, but your core go-to most of the time, if you can, obviously you don't have to play like this and you can build around it, but is to, like, for example, say for example this is your walker over here and the fight is over here. You want to door and then cart them in and they'll come out your door. You've sent them to your walker. His ult, when it is maxed, it will give you only a 13-second cooldown if they don't escape your ult, which means if you have things like slowing hex or knockdown and you put it on them before you send them in, they'll have a lot harder time in getting to the end of it, and therefore you'll most likely get your ult back. It's very useful. Next up we have Drifter. A tip I can give for Drifter is his 1 is very strong in lane, especially when you pair it with something like melee lifesteal, which is pretty much core on almost every Drifter build. You should play around trading with your 1, short trades, or just keep an eye on the damage you're doing and how much you're taking. The moment they start doing more damage in the trade than you are, you should back out. Drifter excels very well at shutting down low health characters, especially with his passive, isolated targets, and which you can also now ult to make them isolated, doesn't matter if they're near someone. Another tip is your 2 does current health damage. Some people forget that, and if you're going to use it for damage, the higher health they are, the more damage it will do, essentially. You don't really want to use it for damage. In lane it is decent damage, but just remember that. And your ult is one of the best ults in the game if used correctly. You should be using this to engage with a team fight. Don't use it selfishly, obviously, unless you can. If your team needs it, then use it for your team. Next up we have Dynamo. A tip for Dynamo, as he is one of my most played, you can actually save your teammates through walls. And this applies to floors as well. So you do not actually have to get close. You obviously have to get close, but you don't have to get even in the same room. This helps a lot in mid pit, the mid boxes area, anywhere like that. If you get close enough to your teammate, obviously it'll increase with the upgrades and items, but you can save them through walls and generally most of the time save their life completely. Another thing is your ult, it does not keep you exactly where you are, in the sense of you can use momentum to slide the zipline. All you have to do for this, and a lot of characters do this, when you jump on the zipline, crouching off of it will keep your momentum, right? If you jump off, obviously you still have the momentum, but if you do an ability while you're doing it, you will keep momentum. If I do it after jumping off, not really. Another tip for Dynamo players is your pulse has a very buggy interaction sometimes, where you can be in the air and stomp, and you see it didn't hit him. Tip I would say for Dynamo players, be patient and come to the floor first, and if you can't do that, if you have the stamina, try to down dash and then hit it. You'll get to the ground quicker, therefore be able to stomp them quicker. If you want to know how to down dash, all you have to do is while you're in the air, double tap your crouch, and it'll send you down. Next up we have Graves. Tip for Graves is you should be using your 1 less as an offensive ability. Like, yes, obviously it's offensive, but more as zoning. For example, if you're chasing someone and they're running away from you, throw it behind them, right? And they will run into it and they will start getting attacked by it. If you throw it at your feet, Unless it's close. If it's close, they will target onto what you target to, but you also have to attack them for that. If they're running away, you have a very close range attack. If you can't attack them, then you can't get your skulls to attack them either. Try to force them to run into it. And also come with that, try to force them to run into your 2. Trying to place it directly on them, most of the time, they will run away. Place it where they're running to, so they don't even realize, and they run into it. Another tip is you can place your ults in 2 particular ways. You can place it hidden or far back and let things funnel in. You can also use it offensively because it has a hitbox that they cannot shoot through. And also, they cannot see you either. You can either play this in the way that you sit here and wait, they go for a heavy melee and you parry them. Or if there's a grey Talon shooting you, Vindicta shooting you up in the sky, just hide behind it. They cannot shoot through it unless it's broken. Next up is grey Talon. And a tip for grey Talon is you can actually break his trap, blow it up with a charged shot. And you may think, why is it useful? If you hit the trap with a charged shot to detonate early with increased radius. That means it would usually only blow up to here, but if they're saying perhaps here, it will blow up and hit them. You can see it went a little bit further. I'll show you again. So it went all the way out to here. Okay? So it's very useful. Another thing, don't always, when you're burning, don't always speed up instantly. Don't just speed up instantly. It's a lot harder to turn, right? It's a lot harder to turn when you're speeding up. So if they're close by and all that stuff, you don't need to speed it up instantly. Make sure you're accurate with it. Another tip for Grey Talon is that you can actually hold down or alt cast his rain of arrows to, instead of going up like this, you will simply go up a tiny bit. This helps with fighting indoors or anything like that. And you can also, another thing, you can cancel his 2 for a little bit of momentum. You can do this in Vindicta too, we'll get to that later. But you instantly cancel it, you can get some momentum. This you can definitely help with running away. Just read it in the situation, whether you want to stay in the air or not. Next up is Haze. A tip for Haze, in lane, not even in lane only, but it's very useful in lane. When you sleep, don't always start shooting them instantly. Because of them being slept, you can get a free heavy melee, which does a lot more damage, and then you can start shooting them. This will just give you more burst in general, a lot bigger threat, and definitely try to come to your teammate. They are going for it, so they don't wake them up on accident, and then you get parried, or maybe they can line up abilities too at the same time while you go for it. Just, it's best to communicate. Another tip for Haze is that her ult, you can actually slide during her ult. So as you can see, I ult. This is me going down the stairs normally. And this is me sliding. You can see it's very, very useful, especially in chasing people. Another thing you can do is when you, like I showed before on Dynamo, you can actually carry your momentum, or slide off the zipline and then ult. And you will keep momentum and fly into the enemies, which will be what you want. You obviously stop as soon as you hit the ground. But if you do it onto a ledge, like over here, if you do it onto a ledge, you can keep sliding, obviously. If in general you have enough speed, you can keep sliding, but you kind of need either items or there's more speed like that. See, if I'm going a full off the zipline, I can slide. Okay, but if not, you might do things like fleet foot, burst fire, things like that. Anything to increase your speed or slide distance. Next up we have Holliday. Holliday probably has the most tech and tips I can give you. The first one, which you just kind of need to know if you play Holliday, I see a lot of new Holliday players and they'll throw their barrel and they'll shoot it. And yes, you can do this, but if you melee right off throwing it, it launches it up. And if you're in the air, well, obviously while you're on the floor, if you look up, nope. If you look up a little bit more, it goes up, right? It just depends where you look. And if I'm in the air, I can shoot it directly in any direction I want. Another thing, which I'll show you the importance in a moment, you can place your barrels stagnant if you walk backwards while doing it. This can help in a lot of situations, but obviously it's very niche and situational. Another thing is with your jump pad, you should, just like Celeste, you should learn air strafing. This can add a lot of extra distance to your abilities, to your jump pad. If I just hold W, where do I land? Around 37 meters, right? That's my jump pad, same spot. Got it. Right, if I air strafe, I hit the 40, and I could have did better, but you see the point. You get a little extra distance, and this can really make a huge difference in certain scenarios. Another thing with the jump pad, you maintain the explosion that you would hit the floor on if you wall jump. So, you see it, then it blew up. So, if you need to get somewhere, or if you just want to bait them out, dodge it, or anything like that, stay in the air, but obviously do that by wall jumping. Another tip, which kind of combines everything together. Actually, I'll say one more thing. Your pad, you can instantly dash off of it, which will instead, and I'll show you why that's very, very important. Instead, you'll just pretty much go straight. So it does. You dash after you hit it, and you'll keep momentum, but you'll just go straight. And a tip I'll show on why you compare all these together, I'll show you. So, when you ult, right? When you ult them, obviously you may have them grabbed. And if you pad, it increases the duration. Okay, just by 1 second. Okay? But obviously, 1 second is a lot when you've got someone grabbed. Okay? So, what you can do with that is, if you want to keep them with your team, you don't want to bring them really far away, make it hard for them to be hit. You can instantly, after you pad, dash. Okay? Keep them level while adding that extra duration, not flying away. Another thing you can do is the thing I showed you earlier with the stagnant barrel, where you do this, you walk backwards, and then you walk them into it. Because if you walk them into your barrels, it blows up. So all you have to do, lasso them, walk backwards barrel, and then walk into them. Okay? And if you were to combine it all together, what you could do that. And if you have another barrel even, you could do it again. You could do 2 barrels. Right? It really depends on your items and stuff like that. Chances are you can't. It'll be a very late game thing, or even you just be rich. But you can very easily hit them with 2 barrels while you have them lassoed. They can't do anything about that. Next up we have Infernus. A tip for Infernus that a lot of players I see don't realize. You can actually use any ability while using another ability. So if you're flame dashing, you can 1 or ult. And same goes if you're ulting, you can pop your 2 or pop your 1. It doesn't matter what succession you do it in. Okay? And they'll ult, they'll flame dash, it'll blow up, and they're still just flame dashing, when instead you could be standing there and shooting them. So the thing you have to remember is that if you ult and flame dash in, you can cancel your flame dash as it explodes and start shooting them instantly, and not have to go through a whole flame dash when you could be instead applying afterburn while they're standing in it. And also always remember that your 1 should be applied to almost everyone you shoot. It applies damage, amplification, a slow, and lifesteal when you have points in it. So it's very, very strong. In general, applies any damage you do. A thing to keep in mind, which will not always come into play, but your melee actually adds some afterburn. Now, I'm not saying you should go ahead and play melee Infernus. If you want to, sure, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in situations where you don't have much ammo, maybe you ult them and you want to get a little extra tick, you can melee them. It really just depends, but it's just another thing to keep in mind. Maybe in lane, it can be very useful in lane, where you're light melee trading. It's very effective. Another tip for Infernus is that when you're on a zipline going into lane, you can actually start your ult before you get there. So you can pop your ult before you get to a fight that's in a zipline, and then fly off and have it instantly explode. Tip for Ivy, or up to Ivy. A thing you should keep in mind is if you're ever healing someone, right, or you want to heal someone, or they're healing and you want to be healed, utilize your tether. And what this does is any healing you or the person you're connected to get is replicated. Okay, so if I, for example, have Healing Nova, which is a very, very common item on Ivy, and I tether to someone, and then I Healing Nova, it will give both of us more healing because of it being replicated. Okay, so it's very, very strong. And now, vice versa, if you don't have a healing thing, right, what you can do if the person you're with, say for example, it's a Victor, right, and they use their 2 to heal them, or any healing at all, and you tether to them, you will get healed from them. Vice versa, if you have a lot of healing, okay, let's say you're playing Gun Ivy, you have a lot of lifesteal, and you can tether to someone, you heal them. A way to forcefully heal, if you're not playing things like Gun Ivy, your stone form actually gives you max health heal. So if you tether to them, and then to your 3, you will heal them. Another tip for Ivy is when ulting, if you want your 4 is a projectile. So we forget that your bomb is a projectile. They can see it coming, they can dodge, they can counterspell, whatever. Okay. So the thing you got to remember is that if it's safe, getting up closer, instantly explode. Okay. A lot more impactful if it does it instantly, right? And then you can compare it with your 1 and your 3 to do a lot of damage. Also, a thing to remember, you can actually pull your teammates out of CC. Now, keep in mind with the new Ivy, if you've taken damage recently, you cannot. You have to be out of combat. But it does not matter if your teammates have. Okay? So if they're getting, let's say there's Dynamo ulting here, right, and you're far enough away, you can just pick them up, pull them out of it. This applies to any stun in the game. This can get a bit buggy when the CC happens as soon as you ult them, but most of the time you pull them out. Something to then also remember when picking up teammates, they do not get the shield until you drop them. And same goes for you. You don't get the shield until you drop them or until you go. Depends who you're trying to get the shield for. Okay? So you keep that in mind. If you're very low health, or they're very low health, and you're trying to save them, bring them to safety first, obviously. Or just, you can fling them. Okay? But remember, they do not get the shield until after. Okay? So, obviously you can fling them, but if they've got Infernus afterburn on them or something like that, you want to give them a shield ASAP, that way they don't die, just said burn or anything at all. Next up we have Kelvin. Kelvin recently got a lot of changes. Some of the biggest being how his nade interacts and his dome. His dome, obviously it can be self-cast, but it is also able to be target selected. And this applies to enemies or yourself. It's very useful. It can be applied to allies as well. Sorry. It definitely helps with trapping people, because a lot of the time, it used to be, it would be very hard to make sure the person you're trying to get in there doesn't fly out of it on accident, whether it be your teammate or the enemy. Now this makes it a lot easier for that. A tip I can give is spam your nades for healing in lane. Now they heal from base, they heal quite a lot. And also try to combo, just like Infernus. Now you can actually throw your nade, ice path, anything you want during ice beam. You can do them all together. Okay, keep that in mind. Is most effective because your 1 slows, your 3 slows. So if you are beaming and throw a nade at them, I missed. They will pretty much not have any movement speed. And Kelvin is not played usually to damage, but that is a lot of slow for your teammates to kill them with. And also keep in mind, your dome, especially when maxed, heals a lot. Okay, but not only does it heal a lot, think of it like this sounds a bit stupid and obvious, but some people forget this. It is a dome. It is a physical dome. It is a wall. It's a structure. Okay, so when it comes to things like Lash ult or 7 ult, anything at all where you're blocking them out by placing a wall should be how you use it. The best use is Lash ult. If there's a Lash in the sky ulting you and you dome, even if they pick you up, you will just be smacked against the side of the dome. Okay, so very useful in things like that. Another thing to remember is it actually freezes things like rejuve or earn or even structures. Okay, because you see, you can't melee it. Okay? It's frozen. Okay, this also works on turrets, objectives. Okay, it's not as obvious as the rejuve one, but that one, no one can damage this right now. Next up, we have Lady Geist. Biggest tip I can give for Geist is to know your health. Your health is your biggest attribute, not only because you deal damage to yourself, but because of your swap. If you're low health, you are genuinely a bigger threat than when you're high health. Because if you're low health and you start off the fight by swapping them, and you still have all of your abilities, you're going to kill them most of the time. Okay, especially when it's upgraded, and it silences them and they won't be able to run away. But keep in mind that your health is your biggest tool. Okay, and with that in mind, you have to remember two things. One, your 3 does current health. Okay, so at normal, right, that's 80 damage, right? But look, every time I do it, it's doing less damage than last because it's doing current health. Okay, so look, it was doing 80 before, now it does 42. Okay, so it does current health. So you don't want to, not like you don't want to, but if it's, for example, early in lane when you don't have much health, right, and you can die very easily, you don't want to be spamming it. You just end up losing all your health and give the enemies an advantage. You don't use it for damage, you use it for damage amplification. Okay. Another thing to remember with that is your bomb is not current health damage. It is a percentage of the damage it does. Okay. So this does 27 to me. But if I get Boundless and I make it do more damage, it does more damage to me. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind, that your health is your biggest tool. But now, I've used all these abilities, and now I'm low. Now he's low. Okay? So you can be a bigger threat if played well. Geist 2 can also be used for healing allies, which not always useful, but sometimes. It's nice to have it there to keep in mind. And also your 2 is line of sight. So if you cannot see them, even if it's still connected, which it will be until it runs out, you won't heal them and you won't damage them. Next up is Lash, one of my favorite, if not my favorite characters in the game. I have so many games playing this character. A lot of tips for Lash. First of all, your 1 scales with damage per meters. Okay, so if I am high up, okay, I will do more damage than if I was on the ground. So this does 183. Okay, normally 60. Okay, so it's a huge change, especially when you max it, right? 60, even just jumping off zipline, 240. Okay, it's a huge difference, right? Next thing on Lash, your 2 is your best movement tool, and especially early, it is your most valuable resource. Okay. People, a lot of the time, they will use it to get in. They'll slam, that other thing. Right? Sorry, if I have no cooldown, obviously. Now what do I have? I've got my stamina. That's about it. What if they CC me? What if they stop me from using stamina with Song Hex? You've got nothing to get out of it. That's why you buy items like Extra Charge. But you still need to keep an eye on your 2, because it's, especially until you get things like Warp Stone, Majestic Leap. Majestic Leap is for charge, by the way. You don't have another tool after you go in, because that's what Lash is. He goes in. Okay, he's very close range. Right? Another thing with Lash is he is, like I've showed before, many other characters. If you crouch off, he slides. Okay, and this is the biggest effect. Right? And I'll tell you why. First of all, he goes exceedingly far, right? Okay. Second of all, if your Lash ult, as you can see, locks onto them, right, it's got them, okay? Unless they counterspell or just break line of sight. Not break line of sight in terms of it'll stop it, but they might not get pulled. You've got them, right? If I do it like this, I got him, I can look away now, okay? So a lot of people, they go, as soon as they get it, they instantly grab it and throw. And it's like this is never useful, but say for example, I go to ult this guy over here, I look around, oh that guy's there too, I got 2 of them. If I did it instantly, I would have only grabbed 1 of them. Okay? He has 3 instant skills of spirit and items, and upgrades, so you have to keep in mind, early game you can't throw them very far, late game you can. So I think it's great, especially with things like greater expansion, your boundless as well, which is core, you'll be able to throw them a lot farther. You can even get to points where in games you can throw them in or out of their spawn, or into your spawn. Very, very useful in defending or taking their base. Another thing on Lash is this not many people utilize or even know about all the time, but when you ult and you grab someone and you throw them against a wall, they will slide. Okay, I can play you a better example. If I grab them, and I throw them against this wall, they will slide past and go further. Okay, and this can be useful in certain scenarios. Okay? Yeah, so you can also grab them and throw them against walls, for example. Right, and this is incredibly useful in certain scenarios where you can't throw them to where you'd want them to be, whether it be in your team or just away, because actually sometimes can get them further, right, or into positions you wouldn't be able to see, right? Because obviously I can't see around this corner. As there's my turret, which it is, it'll kill him, right? And I can't see that, but I need to ult him, I need to throw him over there. I throw him sliding against the wall, and he ends up over there, and he dies to turret, okay? This can be if you learn to use it properly, it can be very, very impactful. It's just learning when to apply these things, that's all it is. McGinnis. A tip for McGinnis is don't throw your turrets all the time in places where it's easy to shoot. You know what I mean? So if I am, let's say, obviously the game map doesn't actually look like this, but let's say this is mid-bridge, and I'm shooting them, and I just place my turret there. Right? Then shoot it. Your turrets take normal damage, there is no fall off to your turrets. They just shoot it. Right? Let's say there's enemies and I place it here, where they can't see it, and if they want to shoot it, they have to peek to shoot it. And if they decide to push me, they start getting shot by it, okay? You can also get creative with it. You can put turrets and things like this, which are in lane, okay? Wouldn't do, like, it gives you height advantage to see things, but also, you'd be surprised on people's realization of a turret when they're being shot, okay? Putting it in things like bushes or just in crevices can be very impactful. Another thing for McGinnis' turrets is they've recently improved the attack angles, but that doesn't mean they're perfect. Okay? You have to remember, if you're putting on things like ledges, right? If there's someone right here, right, it's not shooting me. Okay, so you have to remember, if you want it to shoot somewhere, you've got to keep in mind if it can shoot there. Another important tip for McGinnis is that you can actually wall behind yourself while running forward. I'll show you how to do that. So it's very important if someone is chasing you. Now, how do you do this, you may ask? And I don't blame you if you don't get it every time, because I don't even get it every time, okay? All you gotta do is you dash jump, and then you would wall and instantly place it, okay? Okay, there we go. Alright, so you just spam click as soon as you wall, or whatever your bind is, whatever it is. Dash jump, instantly click. Okay? You can spam it, you don't have to get a frame perfect, like, it's fine. Okay? Another tip is for McGinnis' ult. Now, McGinnis' ult, as you can see, I'm very slow in using this. But if I jump dash, right? Or you can also slide in it, you keep regular momentum, okay? Or regular momentum as you would. Now, a very important part of this is you can also zip line while ulting, okay? And this means if you're ulting someone in lane and they tend to run away, right? You use the zipline for momentum and you catch up very quickly, just like you would chasing a normal person. Okay, so you gotta keep that in mind. Very, very useful. Now we're up to Mina. A tip for Mina is that you can use her to dodge things like Bebop bombs or studs, anything at all. If you time it right, you can dodge the explosion of a Bebop bomb. Very, very useful tool. Another tip for Mina is you want to be, especially in lane, rocking a love bite as much as possible because it has a cooldown. to where they can't be procced again. Okay, so you want to get an uptime on this, so you get the most damage, because you won't be doing as much damage while it's on cooldown. Okay, and this is most important once you have your ult, because your ult, it sends out bats, and the way you get bats is a little number above your ult, as you can see. That is from getting love bites, and every time you get a love bite, that is 2 bats, and that extends the duration of your ult. Okay, and I believe technically the damage too. Okay, another thing is that your 1 is very useful on minions in lane or camps, because it actually heals you per kill. So if I get this thing low, 25 health, right? And if I was to do it to multiple things, right? If I just had 3 of them here, 75 health. Okay? Very, very important in lane. Use it on the small camp as well. Very, very strong. Another tip for Mina is when you're ulting, you can actually recast your 2, and you will keep ulting, but you will reposition. It doesn't end it. Okay. Not only can you use this for repositioning, but you can also use it for dodging things. Okay, if someone places a knockdown on you while you're ulting, someone put a bebop on you, anything at all. Next up, we have Mirage. Mirage recently got changed quite a bit. His 2 can now be recasted. His 3 got completely reworked to stack differently. And his ult you can now teleport to any point on the map, not a specific person. Okay. Tip for Mirage is to use his 2 as a dodging tool. I see a lot of people in lower ranks or just beginners using it for damage, which barely does any. Okay, 65, even when you have points in it, not much. Scale's okay, right, but it's not going to be a damage tool. Right? And they just don't use it well. They either use it for damage or for movement, and it's not like either of those are wrong, but they do not use it as much for get out of jail free card. Okay, dodge a stun, dodge a bebop bomb, dodge damage in general, anything at all. Another thing for players is that they don't realize that you can activate Jin's Mark. Okay, you can activate it to proc it earlier. Right? A lot of people do not realize this, and this is important for 2 reasons. Okay, 1, if you have items like, let's see, if you have items like Quicksilver Reload, okay, and you get to low ammo, right? You shoot your way down all the way to low ammo. You don't want to reload, right? You pop this, boom, you've got your reload instantly. Okay, a lot of people you'll see they put it on their Scarabs, which is your number 1 ability. It's not like it's awful to put on that, but your 3 essentially doesn't really have a cooldown. Okay, if it's being procced, you can activate it and get it. Another thing is that you may realize your 3 can be applied. You see it says proc maximum range. Okay, this just means that to get the first one, okay, you need to be a certain amount of range. So you see, if I go all the way over here, right, and I do it, can't do it. It's not proccing the Jin's Mark, right? If I go closer, it does. So what you want to keep in mind, though, that's just the first one. If I go further away again, I can still proc it. You see? It doesn't matter how far away I am as long as I've procced the first one. They're very important in lane, just in the game in general, but specifically in lane. Up we have Mo and Krill. A tip for Mo and Krill is that you can use your ult very much as a healing tool. Okay, your ult gives you a lot of health. There's a lot of lifesteal. Once you get points in it, sorry, my bad. Once you have points in it, it will give you a lot of lifesteal, and it's a very important healing tool. Right, but so is your 1. Okay, you are one of the strongest sustainers in the game, especially in lane. You want to be spamming your 1 on enemies pretty much as possible. Okay, this will do damage to them and heal you. Okay. Second of all, use your burrow properly. Okay, your burrow is a long cooldown until you get it maxed, even though it's still 20 seconds. It does do a lot of damage. It gives you a lot of speed, and you take less damage. Okay, but the thing people forget is that if you use it to get in, you can't use it to get out. Right? If you use it for damage, you can't use it to get out. Okay, it's a tool that, just like Lash's second ability, you need to use it properly. Okay, and most Monk players, you see, they won't only use it to go in or to go out. They'll use it for damage as well, use it to clear camps, anything at all. Okay? Just use it wisely. Another thing with Mo is, just like the zipline thing I was showing, he can carry momentum in his ult. And the way I'll show you this to the best of its degree, which I don't suggest you do in your actual games, but it shows the example. As you can see, right, you can keep momentum. Okay, it's not always obvious on when you can do this or when it's going to happen, but you just run into it if you play more on Krill a lot. For example, if I'm ulting and I get paradox swapped, I will keep them with me and we'll both move. If I got pushed by something, if I, grabbed them and I was on a ledge and they weren't, or vice versa. It's very, you will keep them with you pretty much. You gotta think of it while you're grabbing someone. They will pretty much be attached to you. Okay, you're not stagnant in the one spot. Obviously, you can't move, but if you have something already carrying your momentum, then it'll keep happening and you'll bring them with you. Now, Paige, the tip for Paige is that once you have 3 points in your shield, so you can give another additional 2 shields, you can actually cast it on yourself, just like Dynamo, to go through walls. Okay, so this helps a lot when you can't actually get to your teammate to see them and apply shields, and you have 2 points in it, so 3 points in it, and you just want to help them. Just put it on yourself, alt cast, hold it down, whatever it is for you, second button, and you can give it to them. Another thing for Paige that a lot of people forget is that her ult, actually, the heal and the damage, scales with distance. Okay, I open them right here. 126 damage. Okay, the same heal and damage, so you guys will be fine to see it. Right? 152. Okay, so it's not a huge damage amp, but it scales very high on further range. Okay, I can go a lot further than this. When you have it max, it'll do even more. Right? Obviously, 260 normally, now just 350. Okay, very impactful. I'm not saying you should be at your spawn when you're ulting, but if you are further away or have the chance to stay back further, it will do a lot more. Another tip for Paige is that you can actually ult people up in the air, and I'll show you how this works. If I put an enemy here, okay, I'm on Paige, and say this is 7 ulting, right? You want to aim a little bit above them, right? Always, but I can ult. Okay, that was slip me. Right, you can ult and send them upwards. Usually they go like this. Okay, but if I aim upwards, they go upwards. Okay, and you don't want to aim directly at them, as I said, because it'll jump in that direction. Well, like I said, where you're aiming, it'll jump in that direction, but then they'll start to fall again. Okay, if you aim it up, they'll jump and then they'll fall. Okay? So you want to aim above them always. Very helpful for Lash ults, Ivan ults, Bebop ults, anything, even Vindictas or Grey Talons up in the sky. Very useful to aim upwards into the sky. Paradox. Now, Paradox has a lot. First tip I can give is you can swap through your wall. Right? A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll place their wall and then they'll swap. But this is obviously very predictable. Okay? If they see your wall, they might counter spell, they might dash out of the way, anything at all. They'll see you're going to swap. But what you can do is you can ult and then wall. Okay, so they won't see your wall and react to it. Okay, you can place your wall before the swap gets to them. That way you'll still swap through it, but they won't have time to react. Even easier to hit swaps if you carbine them first, because they will not be able to move. And also, before you swap them, you can throw a bomb at your feet, right? And swap them into your bomb. Okay? Your wall can also be placed below you, above you, any direction you want. Also, you have to remember that your carbine slows you. Okay? Slows you while you're in the air, okay? Or just in general. Okay? In general, it slows you. Okay? Just like it was if you were getting shot by it itself. Another tip is that her nade actually expands in size, as you can see. You throw it. This used to be only while it was maxed, but now just every tick further and further. Okay, things to keep in mind. Character's a very strong character at the moment. A lot you can do with her. yeah, a lot, very high skill ceiling in Paradox, I would say. Next up we have Pocket. Pocket again has a lot of text, just like a lot of other characters. First tip I can give, you stay up in the air while you're barraging, okay? You can also dash now while you're barraging. Sorry, I've already dashed in the air, so I can't show you. Right? You can dash while you're barraging. Very important, because sometimes, like, if you crouch off the zipline, always remember crouch off to keep your momentum. Right? If you crouch off, keep going fast. Your barrage keeps you in the air. Even if you're running away from someone, right? You're running away from someone and you just want to stay in the air for a bit, so that you're in the air for longer than they are. Very important. Another tip is that a lot of players, they'll throw their 2, they'll go to their suitcase of course, and they'll exit it and then teleport. Okay? This is very bad idea, because people in that short time frame, especially considering a lot of things are point and click, and they have character select, for example, a Moal, a knockdown, a curse, anything at all. It doesn't even have to be something point and click. They could stun you, they could silence wave you. They do a lot of stuff in that short time frame. Instead, what you want to do, throw your teleport out, suitcase, just click your teleport. It will instantly teleport you without you having to come out of your suitcase. Okay? But tied to this, okay, if you come out of your suitcase first, it'll explode where you are. Okay? But if you teleport first, sorry, yeah, we get some duration so I can explain it shortly. Okay. If you go in your suitcase and then teleport, it will explode to where you're teleported to. So it depends, do you want to do the damage where you were and then teleport, or do you want to do the damage to where you're going to be? Next up we have Rem. Okay? A tip for Rem is that your tag along is your most important ability. It is how you stay alive, don't get targeted, and how you heal your teammates. You can also, if you use a helper on a minion, you can jump onto that minion too. This helps with keeping you safe, or maybe just delaying, you know, if there's no people around, you want to get a heal, stuff like that. Very important. Another thing for Ren, remember that they cannot use their movement abilities during your ult. Your ult is very useful for getting out of things, but also you're able to fly just like Calico ult. Okay? So if you need to run away from someone, you can use it to get to high spots, okay? To get away in general, right? Another thing to remember on Rem, you can use your little helpers on anything, almost anything. Okay, you can set it to go do buffs. Okay, they will actually do the buff. I'm not sure if there's a... Yeah, there's a Sinners here. You can put it on Sinners. You can go in your own little holes, which they have on the actual map. Obviously, it's not the actual map, but they will have one. And you can get boxes in there, or you can just escape. Very important. Next up, we have 7. First tip I can give for 7 is try to lead with your balls, and by that I mean try to predict where they're going to go. If you throw it out where they are, they'll run out of it very easily, won't do much. Try to predict where they're going to go so they run into it and take maximum damage, and also as a zoning tool, okay? If you throw it somewhere and they push through that, they're going to take a lot of damage, right? And pair with that, try to time your stun so that you already throw your ball before it goes off. That way you get the maximum uptime of they're in the ball to begin with, they're stunned, they're still in the ball, and then after they're unstunned, they have to run out of the ball. Okay? One last tip for 7. You can, a lot of people do not know, if you crouch off the zipline like I've been saying with other characters, you crouch off an ult, you actually get sent to this skybox. Okay? You get sent into the stratosphere. Okay? And this is very strong in certain scenarios, because being up that high means they can't kill you as well. Okay? Especially this works if you've got versus gun carries, and obviously with fall off range, they will not be able to do as much to you. Very strong. And if you can't do this, just please, when you're ulting, okay, I didn't mean to do that. When you're ulting, please try to go up, right? The high, not always, okay, not always, but if you're higher, take less damage, right? You'll be away from things. Remember, you can move in your ult, okay? Move to better positions. Don't just sit there. Blah, 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 blah. Don't just sit there zapping everyone, okay? Next up, we have Shiv. And she's probably the person I've been most excited to show to you guys. First up, we'll do one of his most important parts of his kit is his right click. Okay? As you can see, your right click sends you back a bit. And why is this important? 2 reasons. First of all, okay, if you jump and right click at the same time, this will send you way further, okay? You see normal wall jump? Send you back here. Wall jump and right click, same time, all the way back here, okay? Very, very strong. Right? Another thing with his right click, if you are sliding and you right click at a 90-degree angle, right, as you can see I'm crouching, gives me momentum. So if you want to go that way, I'll crouch, look behind me to a 45-degree angle, 90, whatever I did, I skipped math, right? Like this. Okay? You do it like, obviously like this, it does it anyway. Wait a minute. Okay, well it turns out they actually changed this. Last patch, it was only at a 40-degree angle. Now it's just anyway you're not pacing, okay? So just take, I didn't even know that, okay? So now just use it to prepare yourself, combine it with wall bounces, of course, sends you very far. Okay. Very strong tech on Shiv, as you can see. Like, look how far I'm going. Okay. I fuck up sometimes, okay? I don't play Shiv, right? Leave me alone. Sure. Next character. Next up, we have Silva. Silva is one of those characters who's pretty shallow at its core, unfortunately, but I can still give you some tips. First of all, you want to use your 3 similar to a slowing hex. It stops them from moving. It doesn't do much damage, so you don't want to use it for damage. Pretty much, if you throw this in time where you really don't want them to run, okay? So if you want to bam and then hit all 3 of your things while they're still bollard, best case scenario. Your bread and butter usually though is you bam. Okay. In the wolf form, okay, you want to be just left clicking as much as you can. Okay. Use your 2 for distance, your 3 for the slow and disarm, and your 1 just gives you health and does some damage. Okay. Spam this and your 1 as much as possible. Save your 2 for chasing and your 3 for slowing and disarming. Another thing is to keep in mind that Silva's gun is very slow firing. Okay, as you can see, I'm spamming it very slow. So her gun, when it comes to claiming, is very slow. Okay, and people can easily deny that. Okay, so I think you want to be doing on Silva is you want to get the minion low and then melee it. Okay? So because if you melee a minion, no soul pop-ups. Okay, you just get it. Okay? You don't have to worry about something denying. Next up, we have Sinclair. His bolts have homing in the way of if you can't see them. Okay, so if I place a Infernus right there, and I do this, don't pass, right? It will go back to essentially their direction if there's someone there. Right. Another thing is use your 2 very effectively. It is a very strong teleportability. Okay, and now you can do this, especially in lane. Right, you place your 2, go up to them, put it somewhere high, and now it's there, and you can just shoot them, get a good angle for it, and you can TP back to it if you really need to for safety, anything like that. Another tip for Sinclair is his 3, his bunny rabbit. As it is a stun and damage amplification, you can get off some things like 3 melees, and you cannot parry me. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. Really strong in lane where melees are pretty much the most burst damage you can do. If you just hit a free heavy melee, that's the equivalent to a lot of shots on a lot of characters. So yeah, keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind on Sinclair is his ult. He gets a percentage of their ult as a cooldown, okay? So if you copy a Dynamo, you will have a lot less of cooldown than he has, okay? It's very strong. Also a very good thing to keep in mind. If you just want a quick ult that's impactful, but you know you need your ult again soon, or you just want your ult again soon, try to copy someone with a lower cooldown. Sorry, I'm very tired. It is 3 in the morning right now as I'm recording this. Next up is Venator. So Venator, whatever you want to call him. Okay. You mind shutting up, mate? Thanks, bro. Okay, first of all, his one, if it blows up next to something, right, it'll still go onto them. It doesn't actually have to hit them. Okay, and this is very important for things like farming camps. You see, I hit 2 of those. I want to hit it better. If I want to hit it better. Okay, regardless, you get the point. You can hit multiple with one. Right, very important. You don't have to directly hit this guy up here. You know, you can just hit it near them. It'll do it. Okay. Another tip is when you have 2 points in your shotgun. Okay, and only 2 points. Okay, if you do not, this will not work. When you have 2 points, you're instantly heavy. Just like Abrams, you will be able to get a free heavy melee off. But also with that, if you're playing, as they say, the secret Chinese Venator build, right? If you 2, you can trap them instantly. And then after your heavy melee goes off, they'll be stunned and you can light them up, right? So an example of this would be, now he's trapped, you just sit there and shoot him, okay? A lot of CC, for a nade as well, whatever. Another tip for Venator is that his ult, right, is very forgiving, okay? As you can see, I'm not actually aiming at him. Okay, so it's around that, okay? Very big hitboxes, okay? So don't think you have to get perfect tracking, right? And with that, definitely, some people forget you can use your abilities while you're ulting, okay? Not your nade, but the other ones. If you want to hit a shotgun, hit a perfect shot, you can, okay? No one's going to care. Right, please do it. If it helps you hit your shot, please do it. Also, his ult, the last shot is always blessed, which does extra damage. Pure damage, I believe it disregards resistances and it scales with your boons, but when it's maxed, all of them are blessed, so keep that in mind. Very high damage ultimate ability. Another thing, very fun one, similar to Shiv, okay? His 2 can be used, as you can see, it's directional, okay? You can get movement from it, okay? But different from Shiv's, Shiv you right click and jump against the wall at the same time. Venator's is different because if I 2, it's delayed, okay? Obviously you can't tell when I actually pressed it, but it is delayed. So what you want to do if you want to do it, you want to jump, 2, and then we'll jump. It looks like this. Okay? Try it over here so I get better further. Okay? Very far, okay? Even further than Shiv's. Okay? If I'm trying to do it at the same time, it doesn't work. Okay, so you have to jump, 2, we'll jump. Okay, very important. Any good Venator player is abusing this, especially running away from people. Like, that is a lot. Okay. Next up we have Vindicta. Okay, tip I give for Vindicta is similar to Lady Geist. His 2 does current health, which means if you're using it max health, you're going to lose a lot more health than if you did it while low. Okay, so you don't want to be using this at the start of the fight unless you really need the movement speed. Okay, you want to use this when you're lower, that way it'll take less health from you while giving you the same amount of health back. Okay, another thing is that you want to be, if you're in a fight, spam this as much as possible, especially when it's max, okay? It is healing you for your missing health. Okay, that being said though, if you're max health, save it for you when you lose a bit of health, okay? But the more you use it, the more health you have in fights. I hate seeing victors that they'll just be holding onto it, and then they'll maybe use it 2 seconds late, and they could have stayed in the fight by an extra 5-10 seconds because they were spamming it. Instead, they're just holding onto it. Okay, there's a place for all of his abilities. Another tip for Vindicta, in lane or just when you're low health, don't keep your 3 on, okay? The damage starts racking up, right? You will start hurting yourself quite a bit. Right? When it's max charge, the name lining up will give you idea of max charge, okay? This is it charging up to max. When it's maxed, it is the maximum damage, right? Like, look, I've just lost all this health to myself, okay? Don't want to leave this on all the time, especially early, because that is not always a good trade, okay? They're shooting you, you're shooting them, you're doing damage to yourself, you're doing damage to them. If they have a better gun, it's a better trade for them, okay? Unless you have, as you can see, enemies take 15% damage, that way you will do less damage to yourself than them, then it's worth, so long as they're in it the whole time. Still got to evaluate though, if you have less health than them, might not always be worth it because that will just end up killing you quicker. Okay, so it's not always should be turned on. Tip for Vindicta is that her ult does more damage, right, when they are below 50% health. Okay, not when they're below 10% health, not when they are above 50% health, when they're below 50% health. Okay, so you don't always have to use this as an assassinate. Okay, in lane especially, if they're below 50, right, obviously there's multiple charges. You want to get them low. Shooting them first is always going to do a lot. Okay, because if you're right, obviously if I do it now, 100 damage. Let me get them below half. Up. Now, 300 damage. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, but I didn't execute him, did I? I still did a lot of damage. You got to keep that in mind. You don't always have to use it as an execute. Obviously, you want to if you're permanent weapon damage, but you don't have to. Another thing to keep in mind, it does do extra headshot damage, right? If you can hit the head, I advise you do, right? But that being said, hitting the shot is always better than missing the shot. So if you're not confident in yourself, just go for the body shot. It's not worth missing the shot completely. Another tip for Vindicta is that, similar to Grey Talon, if you cancel it instantly, you will get momentum. I'm not saying you should always do this, but sometimes with running away and you don't want to be in the air is very useful for this. Okay. Next up we have Viscous. Okay. The tip of Viscous, first of all, he has a right click. Okay, he has an alt fire, and when using quick succession with your 3 and your 1, like this, it can do a lot of damage. Okay, just weaving your right click, similar to a melee weave, is very strong. You can weave your melee as well. Okay, doesn't always have to be just without it. You always can. Keep in mind, people can parry your puddles. Okay, this is a tip of itself. People can parry your puddles. Okay, so do not melee at the same time as you're puddling all the time, especially if you know they're very good at parrying your puddles, because they'll just end up parrying your punch as well. Another tip is for Viscous, you can punch his cube. Okay, you punch it in a direction. Okay, this applies to if an enemy is punching you in your cube, or if you want to punch an ally to safety, right? And this doesn't just apply to your melee. Okay, you can also knock them away while they're in the cube. Doesn't have to be in the cube though. You can knock your teammates. Right, you can knock your teammates while they're out of it. It doesn't matter. Another tip for Viscous, similar to both Shiv and Venator, if you wall jump after you puddle punch, you'll get extra distance. So if I just puddle punch normally, center around here, right? If I wall jump in the animation of it, a lot further. Okay. Right. So all you got to do, essentially, all you got to do, it's not as specific like Venator and Shiv. You can puddle punch first and then double jump. You can double jump and then punch. So wall jump. Doesn't matter what you do. Okay. Another tip for Viscous is you can also punch off the skybox. Okay. It's kind of hard because the skybox isn't very low on this, but you can see it here. You can punch off the skybox. Okay. This is very good against things like Vindicta, Lash, Grey Talon, where they're sitting on the skybox. You can punch them down. Next up, we have Vyper. A tip for Vyper is just to slide as much as you can. Sliding on Vyper, just obviously infinite ammo. Vyper shoots a lot, and Vyper actually slides further than any other character. Can slide up hills. They treat them as if they are downhill. See, and also can turn it a lot faster, a lot harder turns. Okay? Another tip for Vyper is your 2 does more damage the lower they are. So saving it for when they are low health is a lot more impactful. Although when you have it maxed out, doing enough damage will just apply it anyway. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Last tip for Vyper is you can actually build up your venom on them with your bullets or with your 2 while they're stoned. Okay? So yes, you can't shoot them to do damage. Technically, I'll get to that in a second. But you can build up your 2. When I get to that technically part, if you have an item called Armor Piercing Rounds. okay, then you actually can kill them through it. Okay. Obviously, it only has a 50% chance. Keep in mind you won't do the same damage. But I can shoot Infernus through my stone form. Okay. Next up, we have Warden. A tip for Warden, the biggest one I could give, is when he's ulting, he can't move. Okay. Right. So to get around this, what you want to do, wait for it to end, is you want to give yourself momentum and ult before you get to the ground. For example, sliding off and ulting. Okay, give me a little bit of boost as to standing there. Okay. Another example of this, and very core item and way of playing on Spirit Warden, is you majestic click, ult, and then you can redirect while you're doing it. Okay, it doesn't have to be like, it can be at any point during it. You can redirect again with the second recast of it. That way you can get past the being stagnant during your ult animation. Next up we have Wraith. A tip for Wraith is that her cards, actually, they are guided by her, as you can see. Right? They go wherever your cursor is pointing to, right? Which means you can also go around walls. Okay. So we go here, and I throw it back here, hit the Infernus around the corner. So you can see. Another tip for Wraith to do with her cards is that you can actually make this so I get it quicker. As you can see, I have 3 cards, right? If I cast one normally, it does the one to the right. But if I alt cast, it does the one to the left. You can also, by the way, on that note, you can hold them down to spam casting. You don't have to spam them yourself. But if I alt cast, I throw the Joker, he's first, okay? Right? But if I don't alt cast, I'll throw the one on the other end. And why is this important? Because you can stack cards that you want, right? So if I say, let's say I get, let's get a few, hold on. Right? As you can see, they all do different things, by the way. Do them. Let's get one more card. Okay, let's say I really want to keep these spades. But if I use one, or if I use 2, they'll be gone. Okay? I don't want to get around that. I'll keep these spades. I'll cast it. I'll throw those 2 guys first. I keep the spades. Okay? Or if it's vice versa, right? I want to keep this heart, but I want to get rid of my spades. Right? I'll cast them. Boom, get rid of them. Okay, so use that. Keep that in mind. Very important. If you're farming and you get a Joker, Joker is her strongest card. Pretty much does everything. And you want to hold on to it. You can stack multiple Jokers while you're in the jungle farming camps, and then when you get to a fight, you can have a full deck of cards, so to speak, of Jokers. Last but not least, we have Yamato, with actually quite a few techs for Yamato. First one I will show, similar to the zipline tech where they are a character. You can keep momentum and do her 1 while you're on it. To do with her 1, keep in mind, it's not fully charged until the aura around her is red, okay? So if you cancel it early, right? If I cancel it early, even a tiny bit before it goes red, it won't do as much damage, okay? I'll do 43. But if I completely full charge, I'll let it go red, 145, okay? There's 3 categories, okay? 3 categories for a thing. There is, you see the 44, there's a little bit before that, 72, and then the complete full charge, 145, okay? You got 3 increments. So you want to wait as long as you can before releasing it. If you want the full damage, don't release it at all, let it release itself. Another tip for Yamato is you can actually cancel her grapple, as you can see. So this is very useful in 2 ways. 1, you grapple to someone and you didn't realize that you're throwing yourself into danger, they're going under the tower, right? You cancel it really quickly, okay? A second tip is you can actually use that as momentum, you see? Wow, right? So you can actually cancel it and then slide, or if you want to bunny hop, right? Do whatever you want, okay? Another tip with Yamato is she also has an ult fire, and it is very good for weaving in between your abilities. So, let me give you a minion, or a guy right here. So I might bam 3, right click 1, right click 2, okay? You want to be weaving it if you can between your things, especially early game. It does a lot of damage if you're weaving it. Okay, just the thing to keep in mind. It's also a very good poke tool. Okay, as you can see, 50 damage. Oops. If all three of them hit, obviously, it's sort of relatively close damage. Okay, it's not the exact same, but it is a very good poking tool, especially if you have things like Mystic Shot. I just gotta. I'm slow. I'm actually slow. Mystic Shot or Resto Shot. It also applies on the right click, as you can see, the pink line. Right? Also works with the right click. Alright, everyone. Well, that was my video on a tit for every character. Let me know if you'd like more videos like this. If you'd like me to explain some movement text, I'll be making a video on that. If you'd like me to divulge into how you play each character in lane, I don't mind. I can do a deep dive into further on each character. Whatever you guys would like. If this gets enough attention, I might do a part 2 with more how you should play them, or maybe builds you could do, anything else. But yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.